Welcome back. We're diving deep into synchronicity again,
Yeah.
exploring how those uncanny coincidences might be more than just random chance.
Mm.
Remember all those times you thought,
Oh, yeah,
whoa, what are the odds?
definitely.
Well, today we're focusing on a possible link between synchronicity and the fascinating world of brainwave synchronization.
It's intriguing to consider, isn't it? What if these moments where life seems to align are connected to something happening beneath the surface, within the intricate workings of our brains?
Exactly. It's like we're tuning into a hidden conversation happening between our minds.
Right.
But before we go any further, let's make sure we're all on the same page.
Okay.
Can you give us a crash course on brainwave synchronization? What exactly is going on when our brains start syncing up?
Well, imagine our brains as orchestras, each with its own unique rhythm and instruments.
Okay.
Brain waves are the electrical signals produced by this neural activity, like the various sounds and melodies of the orchestra.
Okay.
Now, picture two orchestras playing together. Sometimes their rhythms might clash, creating dissonance, but other times they harmonize beautifully, their melodies intertwining in perfect synchrony.
Wow.
That's essentially what happens with brainwave synchronization.
Okay.
When people interact, especially in meaningful ways, their brainwaves can start to mirror each other,
Oh, yeah.
creating a kind of neural harmony.
Okay, I love that analogy.
Yeah.
But how do scientists actually observe this neural harmony?
Mm.
Are they attaching electrodes to people's heads while they chat over coffee?
You're not far off.
Really?
Researchers use a technique called electroencephalography, or EEG, to measure brainwave activity.
Okay.
It's like listening in on the brain's electrical conversations using sensors placed on the scalp.
So they are putting things on people's heads.
Yeah. And what they've found is quite remarkable.
What's that?
During moments of deep connection, collaboration, or shared experiences, people's brainwave patterns show striking similarities.
Right.
It's like their brains are dancing to the same beat even if they're not consciously aware of it.
That's incredible. So it's not just a feeling. There's
Right.
actual scientific evidence that our brains can sync up.
Definitely.
But how does this tie back to synchronicity? Are we saying that when our brains synchronize, we're more likely to experience those meaningful coincidences?
That's a question researchers are actively exploring, and it opens up a whole new dimension to understanding synchronicity.
Oh.
You see, our brains produce different types of brainwaves, like delta theta, alpha beta, and gamma, each associated with distinct mental states.
Mm-hmm.
And some scientists believe that specific frequencies might play a more prominent role in those moments where synchronicity seems to shimmer through our lives.
Okay, so it's not just about brainwaves syncing up in general,
No.
but also which type of brainwave is taking center stage.
Right.
Can you give us an example of how different brainwave frequencies might be involved?
Let's take alpha waves, for instance.
Okay.
They're associated with a relaxed yet alert state, often present during meditation or moments of calm focus. Some researchers suggest that heightened alpha activity might create a kind of receptive mental space, making us more attuned to those subtle synchronicities that might otherwise slip past our awareness.
Interesting. So if I'm meditating with a friend and we're both in that alpha state, could that potentially increase the likelihood of us experiencing a synchronistic event later that day? Like maybe we both run into a mutual acquaintance we haven't seen in years, or we both stumble upon the same rare book in different bookstores?
That's one possibility, and it highlights the intriguing connection between internal states and external experiences.
Yeah.
It's as if by tuning our inner frequency to a particular wavelength, we might become more sensitive to events resonating at that same frequency in the outer world.
That's wild.
Of course, this is still an area of ongoing research, but it raises some fascinating questions about how our mental states might influence the fabric of reality.
This is where my mind starts to bend a little. It's like we're not just passive observers of reality, but active participants shaping our experiences through the very rhythms of our brains.
It's a fascinating idea, isn't it?
But what about other brainwave frequencies? Do they play a role in synchronicity too?
Absolutely.
So each one is different.
Each brainwave frequency has its own unique signature and potential significance.
Interesting.
For example, theta waves associated with creativity, intuition, and daydreaming might be involved in the formation of those aha moments that often accompany synchronicities.
Those light bulb moments.
It's like a sudden flash of insight connecting seemingly unrelated dots in a way that feels both unexpected and profoundly meaningful.
So if I'm deep in thought, lost in a creative project, and suddenly have a breakthrough idea that seems to come out of nowhere, could that be linked to a surge of theta activity? And could that same theta activity make me more receptive to experiencing a synchronistic event related to that very idea?
Yeah.
Like maybe I overhear a conversation that provides the missing piece of the puzzle, or I serendipitously stumble upon a resource that perfectly aligns with my vision.
It's an intriguing possibility, isn't it? It suggests that these different brainwave frequencies might be like different lenses through which we perceive and interact with the world.
Okay.
And during those moments when synchronicity seems to operate, perhaps it's a matter of our brains tuning into a specific frequency that allows us to both perceive and create those meaningful connections between inner and outer realities.
This is all so fascinating. I'm starting to see synchronicity in a whole new light, not just as a mystical phenomenon, but as something that might be deeply intertwined with the intricate symphony of our brainwaves.
It really is fascinating.
But let's zoom in on the interpersonal aspect.
Okay.
How does this brainwave synchronization play out in our relationships and interactions with others?
Yeah.
Does it influence our ability to connect, empathize, or even work together effectively?
That's a great question. And it brings us to the heart of what makes brainwave synchronization so fascinating.
All right.
You see, when our brains synchronize with others, it's not just a matter of matching rhythms.
No.
It's about creating a shared mental space.
Hmm.
And within this shared space, something remarkable happens.
Oh.
Our capacity for empathy deepens, communication flows more effortlessly, and we often experience a sense of being on the same wavelength as those with whom we're synchronized.
Okay, I can definitely relate to that feeling of being on the same wavelength with someone.
Right.
It's like you can anticipate each other's thoughts, finish each other's sentences, and there's this unspoken understanding that goes beyond words.
Yeah.
Is that what's happening at the neural level? Are our brains literally becoming more aligned?
Precisely. Studies show that when people are deeply engaged in conversation, collaborating on a task, or even simply sharing a moment of silent connection, their brainwave patterns start to mirror each other.
So interesting.
And this synchronization seems to enhance their ability to understand each other's perspectives, anticipate each other's actions, and work together more effectively as a team.
So it's not just about feeling good.
Right.
It's about actually functioning better together. I'm picturing a team of surgeons in the operating room. Their movements perfectly coordinated, their focus laser sharp, and their communication seamless.
Mm-hmm.
Are their brains in sync, allowing them to perform at their peak and achieve a level of precision that wouldn't be possible otherwise?
It's very likely. Brainwave synchronization seems to play a key role in facilitating what's often called a flow state,
Yeah, I've heard of that.
where individuals or groups become completely immersed in an activity, their actions effortless, and their performance optimized.
So cool.
And this flow state, in turn, might create a more receptive environment for synchronistic events to unfold.
This is blowing my mind. So by syncing up our brains, we're not only enhancing our interactions with others, but potentially opening ourselves up to a world of meaningful coincidences. It's like we're tapping into a hidden power that can influence not just our personal lives, but our collective experiences as well.
That's the beauty of this emerging field of research.
Yeah.
It's revealing the intricate connections between our inner and outer worlds, suggesting that we might have more influence over our realities than we previously imagined.
It's crazy to think about.
And as we delve deeper into the brain science behind synchronicity, we're likely to uncover even more fascinating insights into the nature of consciousness and the interconnectedness of all things. It's truly remarkable, isn't it? This idea that something as subtle as brainwave synchronization could have such profound implications for how we experience the world, from our relationships to those seemingly orchestrated moments of synchronicity.
I'm still reeling from the idea that we might be shaping our reality, at least in part, through the rhythms of our brains. But I'm curious about the biological side of this.
Yeah.
What's actually happening in our brains when those brainwaves start syncing up? Are there specific areas that light up like a Christmas tree during these moments of connection?
That's a question that's captivated neuroscientists, and they're using incredible tools like fMRI to peek into the brain's activity during social interactions. What they're finding is that brainwave synchronization isn't just a random phenomenon. It involves specific neural pathways and structures.
Okay.
For example, the prefrontal cortex, the part of our brain responsible for higher-level thinking, planning, and social cognition, seems to play a key role.
So it's not just our emotional centers that are engaged.
Right.
Our thinking brain is in on the action too.
Absolutely. The prefrontal cortex helps us understand social cues, interpret other people's intentions, and regulate our own behavior in social contexts.
Okay.
And when our brains synchronize with others, the prefrontal cortex seems to be particularly active, suggesting that it's helping us create a shared mental model of the interaction.
It's like our brains are building a bridge between each other, allowing for a smoother flow of information and understanding.
Yeah, good way to put it.
But what about those deeper, more intuitive levels of connection? We've talked about alpha and theta waves potentially being involved in synchronicity.
Right.
Are there specific areas of the brain associated with those frequencies that might be particularly active during these moments?
That's where things get even more fascinating. Research suggests that the right hemisphere of the brain, often associated with creativity, intuition, and holistic thinking, might be particularly attuned to those subtle synchronistic connections.
Okay, so our left brain is handling the logic and analysis, while our right brain is tuned into the more mystical intuitive frequencies.
It's a bit of an oversimplification, but it captures the general idea. The right hemisphere seems to be less concerned with linear thinking and more adept at processing information in a more holistic, interconnected way.
Interesting.
And some scientists believe that this makes it particularly well-suited for recognizing the seemingly random patterns and connections that characterize synchronicity.
I'm starting to see why people who are naturally more right-brained might be more prone to experiencing synchronicity.
Yeah,
They're already tuned into that frequency. But what about the rest of us?
right.
Can we train our brains to become more sensitive to these subtle connections?
That's a question that's sparking a lot of excitement in the field. There's growing evidence that practices like mindfulness meditation, which cultivate a state of present moment awareness, can actually increase alpha and theta activity, potentially making us more receptive to those synchronistic nudges from the universe.
So it's not just about waiting for those magical moments to happen.
Right.
We can actively cultivate the mental states that make us more likely to experience them. I like the sound of that. But is there anything else we can do besides meditation? Are there any other practices or activities that might enhance brainwave synchronization and boost our synchronicity quotient?
Absolutely. Anything that brings us into a state of flow where we're fully immersed in the present moment and our actions feel effortless can potentially enhance brainwave synchronization.
Like what?
This could involve creative pursuits like painting, writing, or playing music, or activities that require deep focus and coordination like dancing, martial arts, or team sports.
So it's not just about sitting on a meditation cushion. It's about finding those activities that make us feel alive, engaged, and connected to something bigger than ourselves.
Exactly. The key is to find what resonates with you, what brings you joy, and allows you to tap into that state of flow where the boundaries between self and other seem to dissolve.
I like that.
And within that state of flow, we might just find ourselves more open to those magical moments of synchronicity where the universe seems to wink at us, confirming that we're on the right path.
This is all so inspiring. It's like we're being given a glimpse into the incredible potential of the human brain, not just to think and reason, but to connect, create, and potentially even influence the fabric of reality itself. But I have to ask, are there any downsides to this brainwave synchronization? Is there a possibility of our brains becoming too entangled, losing our individual sense of self?
That's a thoughtful question, and it highlights the importance of approaching these concepts with a balanced perspective.
Okay.
While brainwave synchronization can enhance empathy and connection, it's crucial to maintain a healthy sense of individuality.
Right.
We don't want to become mindless drones all vibrating at the same frequency.
So it's about finding that sweet spot between connection and autonomy, where we can tap into the power of shared consciousness without losing ourselves in the process.
Precisely. It's a delicate dance, and one that requires ongoing awareness and intentionality. But when we find that balance, we open ourselves up to a world of possibilities where our individual brilliance can shine even brighter within the tapestry of interconnectedness.
This whole concept of brainwave synchronization has me thinking about the interconnectedness of everything.
Yeah.
It's like we're all part of this giant neural network, our brains constantly sending and receiving signals, influencing and being influenced by the world around us.
It's a beautiful way to look at it.
Yeah.
We often think of ourselves as separate, isolated beings, but what if we're more like nodes in a vast, interconnected web of consciousness?
Ooh.
Each of us contributing our unique energy and vibrations to the collective symphony.
Okay, now I'm really getting woo-woo. But seriously, if our brains can sync up with each other on such a fundamental level, it makes you wonder about the potential implications.
Definitely.
Could this understanding of brainwave synchronization be used to improve our lives in practical ways?
That's a question that's driving a lot of exciting research. Scientists are exploring the potential applications of brainwave synchronization in fields like education therapy and even conflict resolution.
Oh, that's a big leap from talking about synchronicity. Tell me more about how this brainwave science is being applied in the real world.
Let's start with education.
Okay.
Imagine a classroom where students are not only learning, but also learning how to learn.
Okay.
Some educators are using a technique called neurofeedback, which provides real-time feedback on students' brainwave activity to help them understand and optimize their own learning states.
So it's like giving students a window into their own minds,
Exactly.
helping them identify those moments when they're most focused and engaged. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
What about therapy? How is brainwave synchronization being used to help people who are struggling with mental health challenges?
Well, consider conditions like anxiety and depression, where individuals often get stuck in negative thought patterns and emotional states.
Right.
Therapists are using techniques like brainwave entrainment, which uses specific sounds or light frequencies to gently guide the brain into more relaxed and balanced states to help patients break free from those patterns and cultivate a greater sense of well-being.
So like a reset button.
It's like giving the brain a gentle nudge in the right direction, helping it find a more harmonious rhythm.
And what about conflict resolution?
Yeah.
How can something as seemingly technical as brainwave synchronization help people bridge divides and find common ground?
Imagine two people locked in a heated argument. Their perspectives polarize their emotions running high.
Oh, I've been there.
Now imagine those same individuals engaging in a shared meditative practice.
Okay.
Their breathing, synchronizing their brainwaves, beginning to align.
Okay. I'm starting to see where you're going with this.
Yeah.
By creating a state of physiological and neurological harmony, they're creating a space for empathy and understanding to emerge.
Exactly. It's not about erasing differences or forcing agreement, but rather about fostering a deeper sense of connection and shared humanity. And from that place of connection, it becomes easier to see the other person's perspective, to communicate more effectively, and to find solutions that work for everyone involved.
This is giving me hope for the future. If we can learn to harness the power of brainwave synchronization, it's like we're unlocking a whole new level of human potential, not just for individual growth, but for creating a more harmonious and compassionate world.
It's an exciting frontier, and one that invites us to reconsider our assumptions about the nature of reality and the interconnectedness of all things. As we delve deeper into the mysteries of the brain and the power of synchronicity, who knows what other possibilities we'll uncover.
I, for one, am eager to find out. But as we wrap up this deep dive into synchronicity and brainwave synchronization, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought. If, as this research suggests, our thoughts, emotions, and intentions can influence not just our own brains, but the brains of those around us, what kind of ripples are we creating in the world with our own mental states?
That's a powerful question to ponder. Perhaps the key to unlocking a more synchronistic and meaningful life lies not just in observing those moments of coincidence, but in actively cultivating the mental and emotional states that make us more receptive to them. By choosing kindness, compassion, and connection, we might just be setting the stage for a more harmonious and magical reality for ourselves and for all those whose lives we touch.
Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey into the world of synchronicity and brainwave synchronization. Until next time, keep your minds open, your hearts connected, and be on the lookout for those moments when the universe seems to whisper its secrets in your ear.
Follow Synchronicity Keys with Cecilia. For me, synchronicity isn't just a concept. It's the rhythm I walk, the breath I live. Now, let's delve into its hidden mechanics together, uncover the unseen forces at play, and align with the flow to co-create a reality shaped by synchronicity.